So we had launched Loti, and the launch really didn't go exactly as we planned. We thought that we did get a lot of really wonderful feedback from people. We just weren't reaching the right people. So we really had to go back and kind of revamp, okay, what is our marketing plan? How are we reaching these correct demographics? And so now we're starting, to build up a bit more, and our marketing is working, our advertising is working, and we are reaching the right people. But
so you realized you wasn't targeting the right audience. What did you do? How did you guys figure out how to hone in and targeting on the right audience? Hello. Welcome to another knowledge bomb episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential and together change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, we have Rebekah Arrigoni. If this is your first time joining us, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell and hit that like button. This will be greatly appreciated in helping getting out this content to great leaders and great individuals like yourself. For the last decade, Rebekah has demonstrated a history of success in e-commerce, digital marketing, and operations. She started as a principal consultant, assisting small businesses reach their customers. Please help me welcome Rebekah with Overcoming Barriers in Business.
This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
I'm Rebekah Arrigoni, and I am the CEO of Loti. Loti is an AI tech company here based in Seattle that focuses on using facial recognition to find and remove non-consensual intimate images that are found on the internet. Before that, I worked for another AI company running operations for them, and we worked on a whole bunch of variety of topics using machine learning. And I guess personally, I've done yoga teacher training, and I like backpacking and hiking. I have 3 kids and a giant 90-pound dog. Yeah, I enjoy the weather here in Seattle a lot.
Awesome. What kind of dog?
He's a half Bernese mountain dog. And so he's just a big animal. We were told he was going to be like maybe 75 pounds, but he's over 90. So
Oh, man.
yeah.
Cool. You talked about the facial recognitions and everything else. How did you get into that?
When I was working at the last AI company, we had done a project with another company, and part of this product included using like some sort of facial recognition. And, with any of the projects that we're using, we think, okay, how can we implement this tech into other fields? This was around the time that there was a Netflix series that was coming out around revenge porn or, image abuse. And we're just hearing all of these stories about people posting, images or finding them years later. And we're thinking like we can actually really use this tool for some good. And so from that, Loti was born. And, and I do have, I've never been a victim of image abuse, but in college I was a victim of sexual assault. And that is something that sticks with people when you think like, what if it was recorded? What if there was some malicious intent in having that posted, on the internet? And, I was one of the first people that ran my image through our search. And, I'm really thankful that there was nothing that was posted. And of course, I had an immense relief about that. But for many people, especially women, that's just not the case. But we do have this tool now that can be able to help.
Yeah. Sorry for what happened to you, but that's awesome what you guys are doing with this product, because you said something. You said the moment of feeling comfortable once you realized that it wasn't nothing out there about you. And I mean, that just kind of raised up whole nother issues. I mean, someone listen to right now, people, with the internet, because there's a saying, they say, once it's on the internet, it's always on the internet. And oh man, I mean, actually, I'm 44 years old. So me being 44, when I was in high school, there was no internet, or it wasn't that popular. I mean, it wasn't in our hands. So I wasn't one of the teenagers that that was in a situation where, immature, not quite understanding, what happens in the future. I did a lot of dumb things, a lot of crazy things, a lot of things. In my immaturity, they was never recorded. But now we're living in a world where everything is recorded. It doesn't matter what you do. Everyone has a production company, right? That saying that I've been told my whole life, that once it's on the internet, is always on the internet. How true that it is, or how true it was?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of the cases, I think that has always been true. The whole phrase, an image on the internet lasts forever. And
Yeah.
and right now we have this tool that people are able to essentially come to the website. They can upload a profile image. And how Loti works is that we essentially assign, data points to each face, and they're all unique. And then we match that with the data set that we have that we found across the internet. And then people are served those results. So from there, people are able to, save them to a private folder that we have. It's all laid out into our app online, so it's nothing that has to leave the site. And we're able to assist them with this DMCA takedown process to get those images removed. The websites, there is no federal regulation right now around non-consensual intimate image abuse. But it does follow under this act called the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or the DMCA, which essentially allows users to claim like copyright infringement. So this act does protect the websites that are hosting this content, but they are legally bound to remove it once somebody does that request. And so that's how we're able to use that right now.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's interesting. I mean, honestly, I had no idea awesome things that AI can do. I mean, yeah, AI is definitely the future, and the good that AI can do. You talked about NCII. Can you explain the laws around that?
Yeah, absolutely. NCII is non-consensual intimate image. We've also called it image abuse. It's also been referred to as revenge porn, but we generally don't like to use that term because the connotation for it is that, revenge implies that the victim did something to deserve this action by these perpetrators.
Yeah.
And the word porn implies that this is being used for, entertainment, which really, there is legal and there is consensual porn out there. And so trying to put these two things together is just something that shouldn't be used. So we like the term image abuse or non-consensual intimate imagery. And currently there is no federal regulation actually prohibiting this. Kamala Harris, I believe in 2019, did try to put forth legislation and try to get people talking about this more, about creating a federal bill. But currently nothing has been done yet. There are people definitely dedicating their entire lives to getting, some sort of at least legislation. There are state laws, they just vary. And I believe it's only 48 states right now that do have active laws that are, ranging from a small misdemeanor up to a felony. But there's nothing, federally that's available right now. So, and there's also, you do still have to be able to know that somebody posted an image of you or who it was. And that's really not all the case. Most of the time when people find, images or videos of themselves, they've been up for a really long time. They didn't even know that they were up. And that's, so much of it is from, whether it be stalkers or hackers. It definitely can still happen from people that but that's actually not the most common.
How can you all help people that had a different path early on in their life, and now they're saying, you know what, I want to do this, so I'm changing my life, I want to go a different route. How can you guys help them?
Yeah, absolutely. They essentially would follow the same kind of path that any individual would be able to do. The Loti system does have the option of bringing in your own URLs. So if they still have access, to these images or videos that they had posted earlier on, they're able to upload those directly, and we would be able to exactly find that direct match versus, our algorithm is 98% accurate. So it's absolutely phenomenal.
Wow.
But it does give us a bit more of that accuracy to be able to pinpoint if they have those direct, those media exactly, or even the links that they're posted from. We can still help with the DMCA law. We also on our site have blog pages. We don't believe information like this should be difficult or restricted. So we even have a blog page highlighting how people can actually just take down the media themselves with the DMCA law. Unfortunately, with that process, it means that that you have to go to the website that it's hosted on, and you're going to see, a lot of unsavory content, and that can be really re-traumatizing for people as well. So it's nice that we have a system where people don't have to interact with the website content at all, and they just essentially click a button, and then we'll handle that entire DMCA for them.
Wow. Awesome. 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 And we definitely going to, towards the end of the podcast, where listeners, if you're interested, or if you know someone that need help from this great company, I want you to, she's going to have provide the information for us. But what I want to do, Rebekah, I want to kind of shift a little bit, because we talked about the organization and what it does, but I want to dig in from a different perspective on the inside of the organization. I want to talk about the creativity around it. I want to talk about some of the stumbling blocks, some of the things that, the errors and things like that happen. So let's talk about that. So during this journey of entrepreneurship, how did you flow into it, and what type of obstacles have you faced or still facing?
Definitely still facing. It hasn't been intuitive for me, and that's something that I'm really vocal about with people. I came from, the other AI company, and I did do operations, but for the most part, it was kind of like checks and balances. I was in the background. I was making sure people were getting paid and we are getting contracts. And to step into a CEO role is an entirely different ballgame. I am by nature kind of a type A personality, and I like to have a hand in everything and know that everything's running smoothly. And you can't do that if you're going to be a successful CEO. You have to be able to hire well or fire quickly. You have to be able to delegate tasks. You have to know how to communicate to your team and be able to motivate them. During the build out process, it's kind of boring. It's not really exciting. People are just plugging away and programming. And so to be able to communicate effectively with my team and be like, hey guys, this is the goal. Like, this is where we're moving. Congrats, Steve, on getting this into production. Like, way to go. And I leaned on a lot of other people actually that were in my circle that are entrepreneurs or CEOs or in leadership positions, and I really watched them and learned from them. I definitely didn't step into this thinking, okay, I'm going to know what to do. It's just a job title. It doesn't mean that you know how to do the job, and the learning is never going to end. So I have a really good community around me that's, kind of holding me up a little bit and being like, hey, Rebekah, you actually suck at this. Let's do it this way. And I take that feedback. It's great.
And you really just hit this thing. I mean, you ran over some gold that I want to pull back, and I want to do a little digging at it, because you talked about community and how important community is. And you also talked about feedback, which sometimes if we have an idea, we can see it as criticism, but there's a difference between criticism and as feedback. I want to talk a little bit about that, because you have this community. I want you to talk a little bit about what that community looks like, and how does this community help you navigate through your entrepreneur journey?
They really do help keep me kind of in check. I come to them when I'm really having kind of any problems, whether that mean like, how do I delegate this task, or I have this goal. I really need like help figuring out like how to get to it. And part of that is, making mistakes also. Even just doing podcasts, for example, like I was always in the background in my last positions. I am an introvert by nature, and this is new for me. And so my first few podcasts were not great. They were pretty horrible. And I accepted all of the feedback from people who have been in this industry longer. I think that, going into a role, especially in a leadership position, like it sounds really cool. It sounds fun. And people want to say like, oh, I'm a CEO. But like, do you have the skills to actually, maintain and push forward with that position? It's a leader, and leaders guide. They are not meant to sit at the top and to just like, throw out tasks for their peons to do.
Yeah.
It's a guidance. You are paving the way. And I know that, as being a very new CEO, I'm still on that road of, paving the way for my own position.
Yeah.
And so my community has been really there for me, just other successful entrepreneurs and leaders.
Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing. What do you know now that you wish you would have known week number 1?
Oh, that is interesting. I think it would be to definitely be able to pivot a bit more. I think when I first started out, I ran through like my normal routine in the morning to make sure that like I was ready for my day, and then I'd have my tasks laid out for me. And if something came up, a project or a deadline wasn't going to get met, there is an elevated state, you get a little panicky, and to just calm down and learn how to pivot and to not freak out about the problem, but to just be calm and find a solution. I am much more calm, and I'm able to roll with the punches a little bit more now.
How has failure shaped you in your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, I love this question. I am so pro failure. I talk about this actually with people all the time. One of my resolutions for the last couple of years, and it's shifted slightly, has been a form of radical vulnerability. I think that people live in this state of being comfortable, even if it's not conducive to your life, but it's just because it's what you know. And so when you step out and you're doing something scary, you're probably going to suck at it. And that's okay though, because you're also learning and you're growing along the way.
Yeah.
And so people who are so adverse to failure are really just going to stay in that same spot. It's like the Dunning-Kruger effect. Like you are going to reach peak and then you are never going to go further than that. And so when people, do these acts of radical vulnerability, trying new things, talking to new people, challenging their own ideas that maybe they've had for years or decades, and to think critically about something else, that is the way for growth. So I am very pro failure.
Yes. Awesome. 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 And Rebekah, I have to say this. In grade school, right? Kindergarten, first grade, all the way to 12th grade, also college, failure is not something you want to do. So you mean to tell me that on your entrepreneur journey, that failure is okay?
It is okay. I tell my kids all the time that I want them to make mistakes. My youngest, actually, his motto that he says all the time, he might, spill some milk or drop something on the floor, and he says, "It's okay, small problems." Because it just doesn't matter. Like there are things that just don't matter. So why are we getting so hung up on the small problems when we have really big things? And he always kind of reframes it to himself. He's like, big problems are if my body is hurt or if somebody's body is hurt. He's like, these are just small problems. And so and he's 5, by the way.
That is
so
amazing.
I think about the world kind of through that lens, actually. I want to be able to grow. And if I mess up on something, cool, I'm going to know how to do it better the next time, or maybe in the next 5 times.
Yes, yes, yes. Knowledge bomb. And listen, lead to greatness, please don't miss this. Failure, it's opportunities to learn. I mean, you even talked about your 5-year-old spilling something. I mean, what's so amazing about this? If he spills something, or if he turned the jug over, or if he's pouring some milk and he poured a little bit too fast, he learned a lesson in how to pour slower the next time. So he would never know or learn that lesson if he would have never poured the milk in the glass in the first place. And a lot of us are not pouring because we're scared we're going to spill something. But what Rebekah is saying, it's okay to spill, because that's the only way you're going to learn. Rebekah, this is amazing, amazing, amazing. You said your son is 5 years old.
He's 5, yeah. He did just turn 6 last week, but yeah.
Wow. 6 years old. So we can learn a lot from a 6-year-old. They are growing and we're scared to grow, right? So we can learn a lot about.
Yeah, I think that, when this can transcend into really just daily activities, I think that so much of my growth even just came from just my own personal life, even outside of my, my business life. I do bouldering, and the routes that I do are called projects. And I remembered when I first started going, I was just so excited, and I would do these easy projects, and I would just go and go and go. And as soon as I hit one that was kind of hard, I'd be like, oh, it's fine. I'll come back to it later. I'll just do a different one. And then eventually it was basically just doing the projects that I could complete the entire way. And so I wasn't growing. I wasn't getting any better. So I was like, oh, Rebekah, this is also another step in like you being vulnerable and doing something you don't know how to do well. And so I did start doing the harder projects, and like I didn't get them right away or even the first couple of weeks, but eventually you start making progress and moving ahead. And I really think that mindset and those beliefs transcend into all areas of your life.
With your growth mindset, what are some things today within this first quarter of the year? What are some of those growth challenges that you are having right now, and what are you doing to overcome it?
So we had launched Loti, and the launch really didn't go exactly as we planned. We thought that we did get a lot of really wonderful feedback from people. Everyone has been really excited about Loti.
Yeah.
And there is still a piece that we just weren't reaching the right people, basically. And so we really had to go back and kind of revamp, okay, what is our marketing plan? How are we reaching these correct demographics? And so now we're starting, to build up a bit more, and our marketing is working, our advertising is working, and we are reaching the right people. But it did take a pivot because it wasn't this thing where it was released and we were ready for people to sign up, and then it was just silent. And we're like, okay, well, what is the next plan, guys? And we figured it out. And so, it's going well now, but that was something that we were having to kind of deal with at the beginning of this year.
Man, Rebekah, I'm glad you're sharing this, because this is interesting, because a lot of times in the entrepreneur journey, we do something, and when it don't work, we think we made a mistake. And you just said something that I don't want us to miss, and that's adjusting, pivoting and adjusting. It's like, if you know you have a good product, you can have a good product, but maybe, like you said, Rebekah, that you may be targeting the wrong audience. I mean, if you're targeting senior citizens, I mean, they most likely not the audience, because most senior citizens are not even on the internet. So it's not the right audience. So, man, I really like that. Let me ask you this. So you realized you wasn't targeting the right audience. What did you do? Or how did you guys figure out how to hone in and targeting on the right audience?
So we actually, most of the people on my team were I would say millennials, we're mid-30s. And we know that the demographic that is most affected by image abuse are people between the ages of 18 and 35. Well, that is a demographic that is actually, really popular on TikTok. And so I do have a marketing background, but I did step away from that after I had my last son, and and then I started doing operations. So like my knowledge of marketing is just it changes so quickly. And so I really was not going to basically give any input in this field. I relied on people that do understand what they're doing. And some of the people that are helping us with our marketing are actually like kids right out of high school, some 20-year-olds. We do have a psychologist on staff to make sure that the vernacular that we're using and the content that we are posting for our ads is appropriate, and that we're not re-traumatizing people, because it is a sensitive topic, and we want to make sure that we are talking about it appropriately.
That's good.
And so we do have a younger crowd that's helping us reach people, and so we're using TikTok for ads, Instagram Reels ads. And we're also focusing a bit more on content creators and working with some agencies, because while content creators do post, their own images and videos, and it is consensually, a lot of the times people will actually just like screen grab or download that and then post it on free sites elsewhere. Then the content creators are essentially just losing income. And so this is a tool that, is still able to help them as well, even if it's a slightly tweaked, goal in mind. And so that's been our efforts. We just had to tweak our marketing a little bit.
Wow. That's another knowledge bomb. You said something. I really want to touch on this, because here it is. You have Facebook, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, and I'm 44 years old, so I can't think of anything else. But that's other, you have Snapchat, you have all these different social media platforms. And you just said something that's key. Some people, based on your business, you may need to post on Facebook. Maybe you need to post on Facebook and Instagram. But TikTok, Snapchat, those two totally different. LinkedIn is a totally different platform because LinkedIn is more professionals and things like that. I mean, if you're trying to market high school kids, I mean, you don't want to go to LinkedIn, so, those marketing strategies, when we're doing business or whatever, when we have that target audience, we have to make sure we're targeting the right people based on whatever platform we get on, because you can get on Facebook and spend thousands of dollars, but it may not work for your market. So Rebekah, thank you for sharing that. What are some practical leadership growth tips, tools, and advice that you can share with the Lead to Greatness community to help us reach our greatest potential?
I really do think people should lean more into their vulnerability and practicing really radical vulnerability, trying new things in all aspects of your life, and having that be able to translate back into your business and your mindset and your goals that way. There are some things that I do that are consistent, so that I do have a solid foundation, so that I do have the capacity to handle doing new things and learning new information and being vulnerable. I wake up in the morning and I have the exact same routine. I wake up and I do breath work and meditation and mobility. I make sure that I have my own care and my own self needs done first before I extend that back out into my family. Because if I'm running on empty, I am going to just be crappy at all of my jobs and all of the roles and hats that I wear. And so I really make sure that I'm taking care of myself first in the morning, so I can set my day out correctly. And that way I'm not just waking up and immediately diving into emails or phone calls or anything. And I also block out my day. I do time blocking, which I think most people do, whether it, be a pen and paper calendar, whether you're using like a Google Calendar. But I also go a little bit further and I make sure that I block out light work and deep work. Light work, I'm allowed to, respond to emails or Slack messages and talk to people. And deep work is strictly reserved for me time. I do not have any notifications on. I am diving into my work. I am thinking about how to expand and grow my company. And that is strictly for me. And I do block that out like any other, meeting or scheduled item. That is just as important. Wow.
Rebekah, that is a knowledge bomb to go. Wow, I really enjoyed this conversation with you. I mean, you're young, you're fired up, you're super smart. I definitely believe you're going to do something great. You're changing the world already, but going to make an impact in so many different ways. And I'm definitely excited for your future and your endeavors and everything you do.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our conversation. It's been great.
Absolutely. If someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
Yeah, so I have a LinkedIn. You can just search Rebekah Arrigoni. It's unique enough and it always pops up. And I have a public Instagram, but you're never going to see anything about Loti on there. It's really just about hiking, yoga, and my dog. And then if you're interested in looking at Loti, we do offer the first search free. And then, if you decide to go further after that, we have more information on our website, and that's at goloti.com.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on the Lead to Greatness podcast. And if this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of these amazing episodes. And if you're on iTunes, go ahead and rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps get the word out to great leaders and entrepreneurs like yourself. So we want to thank you for joining us today. So remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace.